last week I was interviewed by Ryan Sternagel again. He's interviewed me a couple years in a row, and um, I've been blessed to have my beloved son James working for me for 14 months full time now. He's really been helping me for more than half of his life. He's 22, and he started when he was 11, and he is he's the next generation of Durkin, and so he has a whole lot of skills that I don't have, and he's helping us meet the world more easily. Hey, Barbara, welcome. Um, and and so he helped me take all of the ideas that I've stepped over for so long and make a PowerPoint. And there's a section of this that I think is really worth visiting as a community with you right now. And so I want to take us into my PowerPoint for a second and screen. Okay, are you guys seeing the Veda Austin slide? Yeah, okay, thumbs up, thanks. So I don't know how many of you have studied Veda Austin, but she is so sweet. Like she's just fun to listen to. Like she's definitely like got that mom energy or sister energy. She's just a woman you want to have around talking with you. And she she's advanced the work of Dr. Emoto, and she calls her technique hydroglyphics. And it's basically talking water. And what she does is she freezes very thin layers of water, and she sees what water has to say to her. And so here are a couple of examples of things. She put a sunflower seed into water and then froze that water, and the water showed her a sunflower.
Cool.
Right? It didn't show her the seed, it showed her the sunflower. And she did the same thing with the flax seed, and it showed her the flax plant. And then one of the stories that I picked up that I really liked is she was sitting at a cafe and she was watching a schnauzer go to the water bowl and drink. So she took some drops of the water home, and the water showed her the schnauzer in the water. So this is beyond like taping a word on your water. This is actual communication with water, and I think her stories are so moving. I've recently seen her associated with a autistic exploration that she's been doing, and she's been working with the autistic kids, and she called it in, she prayed for it, and the question was, Veda, are you ready? Because these kids are going to blow your doors off. And there's something out there called the telepathy tapes. If you guys aren't familiar with it yet, it's a podcast that if you have an autistic child, you know about this. But essentially, the autistic community is a response by the human DNA to morph, to bring us telepathy and show us an entirely new way of communicating. And so it's not that these kids are damaged by the toxins of our world, it's that they are a reflection of the adaptability of our spirit to meet the challenges that we're living with and to provide answers. And telepathy is an amazing development in the human species, and it's very much being brought forward. So some things there that you might want to check out. Now, moving on from Veda, I went through kind of a profile of about 8 different water scientists, and I'm going to do, I think, 4 of them with you guys right now. So Veda Austin, just maybe great like podcast to put on at night. Like I've been looking for things that I can shut my screen off at night and still be entertained in a way that works for me. And so putting a podcast on and listening to somebody who's peaceful and sweet talking is a really nice way. And that brings me to well, let me stay on point with these couple of scientists, and then I'll go to that other thing later. So the biggest topic since I started in the structured water world in 2012 has been that the world is conditioned to filter water, which is a chemistry-based process. And we've discovered that altering water with physics is more important than the chemistry. It's that chemistry is the option, the filter is the option. The part that's not optional is the energetics. And I want to take you through a little bit of where the science for that comes from. And so the first on this topic is Dr. Jacques Benveniste. And what he did was he showed that he could take an allergen and remove it 100% so it's no longer physically detectable in the water that it was in. And then he exposes that water with no physical particles in it to white blood cells, and the white blood cells react to the allergen that isn't there physically anymore because it's there energetically. And so if you know the way homeopathics are made, they start with a physical substance that they take and they'll put it in a bottle like this, and they'll have a little bit of the physical substance and they'll fill it with water, and then they shake it. It's called succussing 100 times, and then they'll take the dropper that's in here and move it into a new bottle and fill that with water, and you keep diluting and diluting and diluting. By the time you repeat this 26 times, you've done 2,600 shakes and 26 dilutions. Physically, there's nothing left in the water. It's gone, and yet the signature of that initial element is the medicine that's in a homeopathic. And so I think it's a really powerful concept and something that we need to be aware of. Water retains energetic imprints. And so you can filter your water 100%. You can take everything out of it, which is really hard to do. Most filters only reduce, they don't actually remove something at 100%. And what you have to do is then influence it afterwards. And so the next scientist who did experiments with this was Wolfgang Ludwig, and he found that there were electromagnetic frequencies in the water even after the chemicals were removed. And what he experimented with was exposing that water to the Schumann resonance. And so for those of you who know the Aqua Energizer, you know that it's a amalgamation of vortexing and sacred geometry with really finely sourced materials intended to be a highly tuned device. So more than, not that you could ever argue with the Earth's frequency, but more than just the Schumann resonance, like a whole bunch of resonance, essentially the resonance of nature. And that is proven by these scientists to be the most important aspect of water. And then there's one more scientist, the last one, and this one really gives me hope. And why it gives me hope is that Dr. Luc Montagnier showed that he could transfer DNA information electronically, electromagnetically into water. And then he could take that water that has no physical DNA in it, and he could recreate the DNA. And so what I'm suggesting to you is that water carries the resonance of the blueprint for humanity in it. And so this concept that we've talked about today of living from our hearts, if we can fill our bodies with living water and we can quiet ourselves to listen, the path out through what we're going through is already there. The solutions are already there. And so I want to share a couple of the solutions that I've been working with lately, and make sure that you guys know about a few of these things. So in the interview last week, I ended up, the message got out to hundreds of thousands of people, and so the phone's been ringing off the hook, and I've honestly had more customer phone calls in the last 5 days, 6 days than I can remember for months and months and months. And so James and I have been on the phone nonstop, which means I've talked to way more people than I normally do. And what I'm noticing is some themes. The first is that people are turning inward for their answers. So I talked to a gentleman yesterday, and he's been hospitalized, and chemotherapy was recommended, and all this medical intervention stuff. And he's like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not putting a, in quotes, cure into my body that could become the poison that actually ends me. So I have to self-rely. And he's describing how he has all this filtration equipment and all this hydrogen water, and he's doing these different things to take care of himself. And he's like, I'm always thirsty. And I don't know if any of you are experiencing that, but I've been experiencing a need for an upgrade in my hydration practices. And so I want to show you how I'm doing that, because as much as the Aqua Energizer is the ultimate tool for clearing that water and energizing that water, we still need a relationship with the mineral kingdom. And so many of you might know that for a bunch of years we've offered a ionic magnesium product on our website. And honestly, I'm not insistent that anybody think our brand of minerals is great. Like, I'm really happy with this brand. Um, so I discovered a couple years ago playing pickleball that if I would stay on the court too long, I would get really depleted, even if I was drinking some water. And so I started putting my bottle into my pickleball bag. And sometimes when I would notice I was depleted, instead of getting the dropper out in between games,
You drink it.
I would just drink it out of the bottle. And so I've now figured out, instead of like that little dropper you saw, I just poured a bunch of it in. I'm now doing this multiple times a day. And I'm doing it with multiple products. So this is trace mineral drops. It's at almost every health food store everywhere. Like, you just walk in and look for the Trace Minerals brand. It's really high quality. You're welcome to try ionic magnesium if you want that. I actually advise, if you're going to do this, just buy a 12-pack from us. Like, buy this stuff. Never goes bad because it comes from the earth. It doesn't have an expiration date on the product. And you know, this is supposed to be a month's worth, but I'll be happy to give you a substantial discount if you want to buy 12 packs and ship them to you. And I want to encourage you to experiment with me, like, take more minerals. And the other thing that I'm doing is, I don't just take it in one way. Like, I'm never going to just rely on this product or just rely on this product. I want them both in the same day. So I have like 5 different forms of magnesium in this house now, and I take all of them repeatedly. So if you're experiencing dehydration on a regular basis, it's because we're being boiled alive by all of this radiation. And what it burns through, in my understanding of my own body, is it burns through the minerals. And so since I started like hyper dosing minerals, I've had the most energy that I've had. So I'm really pretty strong and vital right now. And part of the way I get myself that way is just minerals, 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 minerals.